So here is our today's topic is in-app purchase with React Native. We have tried to introduce today, and the presenters are Mona Joshi. She's a React Native developer basically. Love Kothari, I am the Love Kothari, the presenter here, also a React Native developer, and Shaili Sonbar and Ashok Kamble both are the React Native developer basically. So in short, the topic is in-app purchase. I hope you all get from that mobile image that the New York Times will get from the in-app purchase. Hope might you understand that topics. So points to be covered. So here are the points which we have to cover today, from in-app purchase, what is in-app purchase, to promo code. And meanwhile, we'll introduce you to few more points like how does it work, what's the purchase and uses, like consumable, non-consumable, what are the kind of prerequisites used in in-app purchase basically, and how can developers can integrate in-app purchase in their application for Android and iOS side, both the side, and what are the family sharing features basically, and last but not the least, basically payment gateway versus in-app purchase. The all topics might be very interesting today. So let's start with our first topic. What is basically the in-app purchase is. So as you all may be aware about the Spotify, as you can see the image in the screenshot. So let me brief you the example of what is the in-app purchase. Let me describe it is. So about the topic that you have been seen on your application, basically App Store, from app or maybe Play Store basically. The term that we are using to describe is in-app purchase. What is basically in-app purchase? A definition from according to the Investopedia. It referred to buying goods and services from the inside of application on mobile devices, maybe such as your smartphones, your tablets, and etc. In-app purchase is basically allow for the developer's perspective to provide a free the developers then advertising up goods and paid versions and paid features we have to use inside that to unlock the special characters, like for an example, in Spotify you can heard the song for maybe around 15 to 20, and you will get the advertisement meanwhile, and it will break your thought process basically. So in a purchase basically generated by, we can subscribe any prescriptions, or we can get the a subscription plan for the 30 song, for 20 songs. So meanwhile we don't get any advertisement, and we also got the some videos and good quality music over there basically. So in-app purchase, which is means that users can spend money with the app. Either he buying some levels and characters in the games, or he buying a jackets and something from the shop, other shopping website basically. A reason to implement that in-app purchase as compared to others is it's very easy to handle from the Android, for the application for Android and iOS both basically. So that would be the short descriptions of in-app purchase basically. So next is, how does in-app purchase work? So mostly people thinking that what is in-app purchase, why it is needed, how it was work from backend side and from user perspective. From user's perspective is only that user can subscribe your packages inside the application basically. You can buy the products from the application only. For an example, we can take example of PUBG. If you're playing PUBG, if you want something products from PUBG, inside that there is the option to buy their gun, t-shirts, hats, and etc basically. But the working flow and technically if we discuss on that, so what exactly is application will request to the server uh, to buying the product, and server will generate that particular token and get back to you and give you the particular feedback that and send you the purchase ID and order ID, and it will be generate your product basically. So it's work depending on the context. In most of the app purchase, the user has must to enter their credit cards or maybe debit card informations. So do some of the other works with the site like PayPal and etc. would be there kind of, but in-app purchase will be inside the applications only. It will be work. So sorry. So mostly we have to design the product in our Apple Store and Play Store only. So it will be comfortable for the all the devices, and it will be show inside your applications only. So that would be the workflow of the in-app purchase. Okay. And the categorize, we have defined the in-app purchase in 5 categories basically. So it's a consumable, non-consumable, auto-renewable, non-renewable subscription, and free trial. So they are the 5 categories of in-app purchase, where kind of product we have to differentiate it with the 5 categories. Okay. And we'll brief you about the 5 categories of that. So I'll request to another developer, Monal Joshi. She's a React Native developer. I request to continue on briefing on that point.
Yes, hello everyone, Brunal here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. As Love have already mentioned, in-app purchase offers the 5 types of categories: consumable, non-consumable, auto-renewable, non-renewable, and there is a one optional category, that is the free trial. So first we will see the consumable products. So basically the consumable products offers the user to buy the one product multiple times. That is, the user can buy that product multiple times. So there are some differences in iOS side and Android side while implementing the in-app purchase. So basically, iOS provides the distinct in-app purchase, and the Google provides the managed in-app purchase. What is a distinct? It means when we will add the items on the iTunes, then iTunes or Apple gives us the options to choose whether the item is consumable, non-consumable, renewable, or auto-renewable or non-renewable. But in Google, Google not provide the options like this. So we need to handle it by the code side. So we will see details in the demo part as well. So basically, consumables are the multiple time purchasing products. We will take an example of Clash of Clans or Candy Crush Saga. These are the famous applications uses a consumable. Mostly the gaming applications uses a consumable in-app purchase. So suppose we will consider the Clash of Clans game. So in that game, the user need to earn a lots of gems and build their village, and then only he can complete a war. So in this application, the in-app provides the user to buy the gems as much as he wants. So here is consumable example comes in the frame. Another application is Candy Crush Saga. So the Candy Crush Saga offers the user to get the higher score by purchasing the extra lives. These types of the gaming applications are come under the consumable. Like user wants to buy a multiple coins, multiple gems, or multiple stages of the application, then the consumable in-app purchase mostly preferred. So next one is the non-consumable. So basically, non-consumable is opposite of the consumable. That is, user can buy it only at the once, and he will get that service or the access to that service permanently. Um, in consumable, user can buy it multiple times, but in non-consumable, it is only once time that user can buy it. So there are some examples, like there is a Udemy application where the user can purchase a one course and he will be accessible to that course for the lifetime. Um, and also non-consumable applications are same as the subscriptions, but non-consumable applications need not to keep track of the when the consumable in-app purchase were buy or expiration date or cancellation. These track has not maintained in the non-consumable applications. Yes. Then there is a auto renewable subscription. So firstly, we will see the subscription. What is a subscription? So the subscriptions are the products that allows the user to pay on a recurring basis. This means the user have to pay for that product on a particular time frame. It may be a month or 6 month, or sometimes on a yearly basis as well. The products can be purchased. In the application, most of the application chooses subscription over the consumable and non-consumable, because sometimes it happens that application data is continuously updating, and the features are continuously updating. So the subscription is easy to maintain as a revenues a revenue perspective as well. And subscription will keep the development in continue, so that if there is some new addition or new feature will be added in the application, so the user can buy it next time in the next subscription cycle. So the auto renewable, we will first see the auto renewable subscription. The auto renewable subscription allows the user to purchase a dynamic service or the product for a particular period of time. When the subscription ends, it automatically renewed. There is no any means user need not to create a new subscription again. So it will be automatically renewed, and it will be renewed until the user will not cancel that subscription. So there are some famous applications like Netflix or Storytel app. They uses the auto renewable subscription. Like Netflix provides some packages. So after some period of time, it will be auto renew, and that subscription is updated until the user not cancels that subscription. Yes. Next one is the non-renewable subscription. So the non-renewable subscription is the time-limited subscription basically, and it must renew after the subscription ends, and it should be renewed manually every time when the subscription ends. Then we need to or user need to generate it manually. Mostly non-renewable subscription are not preferred. Um, yes, and there are some examples, like there are some applications like navigation applications. So they provide some 1 week subscription or 2 week subscription for the guidance feature, and then the subscription will end. And again, we need to subscribe for that particular feature. Then only we can access those subscription. Yes, this is the non-renewable subscription basically. Then there is a free trial as well provided by in-app purchase. So the free trial offers a particular product or service for the limited period of time for the free of cost. So before user is paying for some service, he should understand what is the flow of that service, what is the particularly motto of that service. Then only user can purchase that. So free trial gives user idea about the application, and yes, the user can learn about that product. And when free trial ends, some of the application are automatically means some of the application takes the takes the data like payment data earlier before the free trial, and then when free trial ends, then the subscription will start. And some of the applications prefer like user continues means they will give the guidance to the user whether you have to subscribe that product or not, according to the free trial or according to the total experience of the application. So this is the free trial basically. And then we will see the implementation part of in-app purchase actually React Native. So there are some basic requirements. First, we will need to have the iTunes account for the iOS and Google Play Store console account for the Android. For the iOS, we need to fill the paid application contract, which is basically present on the dashboard of the iTunes. So we need to fill out that and request that. If we not not follow this step, then our in-app purchase will not work basically. And for Android, we should have a merchant account. So we can activate our merchant account from Google Play Console or the settings tab. And the merchant account is basically where we need to add some bank details or some details about the application, so that there will be so that we can able to create a electronic transactions over the application. And the developer should have to create one or more products on iTunes and Google Play Console. We will see these part detailed in the demo as well. And we can use a real devices for testing. So this is the main basic requirements for in-app purchases. So next we will see the implementation part. These are actually the steps which we are going to follow in in-app purchase. First, we need to enable the app in-app purchase on the iTunes Connect and on the Google Play Store. Then we need to create the products or add the products on iTunes. Then these three steps, next three steps, that is the fetch product, purchase product, and restore products, are basically handled on the app's application side, that is on the code side. So we can fetch the product and purchase the product using a third-party library in React Native, and same with the restored product. So basically, the restored product is comes in the frame when user already buy one of the subscription and he changes his device. On the new device, he can get his already buy items using the restored functionality, which is given by the in-app purchase. So this will be seen in the detail in the demo as well. So next. So first we will see the iTunes Connect setup. So as I already mentioned, we need to fill out the application contact form, paid application contact. So on the dashboard, we will see the agreement, tax, and banking section. So this will need the admin permission for the iTunes. Then only we can paid and request this paid application contract form. Then you need to create one application on the iTunes so that we can add the product over there and we can connect our application to iTunes. And then we need to set up our products, and we need to add the test users, sandbox users in the iTunes. Then we will see the Android setup. Next. So for the Play Store setup, we need to have a merchant account. Also, we need to create the application, and we need to make sure that our application is available for the internal testing. That is beta testing. We should have to roll that application on the beta. Then once the application is released for the internal testing, then we need to add the products in-app purchase on the dashboard. And another important step is the application package name and the package name for the application that we are going to add in the internal testing must be same. If the package name is different, then in-app purchase will not work. Then we need to add the license test user. License test user is nothing but it's just a term. We need to add the email accounts basically. Um, uh, yes, this is. So next we will see the implementation step on the coding level. So now for the configuring, sorry, in-app purchase in the React Native, there are the multiple packages available, but we will choose the React Native IIT because it is a stable version of package, and then also it is mostly used, and there are minor number of issues reported on this particularly package. So we will choose React Native in-app purchase package for the integration. For integrating, we just need to fire the two commands in the project directory. First is npm install, and next one is the pod install for the iOS. So these two steps are sufficient for configuring the in-app purchase in the project level. So next, now we will see how it actually used in code. So basically, we need to maintain the product array, that is the SKU. SKU is nothing but the stock keeping unit, where we need to mention the application, sorry, product ID, which is already mentioned on iTunes and on the Google Play console. So first we need to define the SKUs for iOS and Android separately, and then we can fetch and purchase the product with using that SKU. There are some already defined method in the React Native IIT package. So get product method is used to get the in-app purchases data from the respective iTunes or Google Play console. Get subscription method is used to fetch the subscription data. Get request subscription is used to purchase the subscription, and request purchase is used to purchase the in-app purchase. When we successfully purchase the product, then the last two methods are used. So next part will be continue by love. So I will.
So hey guys, I'm back again. So here are the family sharing option. Most of this is basically only for the iOS users only. Most of the iPhone user may be aware about that, but that was the such a interesting topic basically. Family sharing with the Apple family sharing program, we can use to share like items and books and app store purchases and etc. Like family sharing plan was also there. There's a music family sharing plan was also there. We can share also, and iCloud storage we can also share with our family and friends also. And for an example, for Android users, maybe I'll give you the example for Netflix or maybe Amazon Prime videos. We have a limit to share our credentials, at least 5 members. Sorry. So only 5 members at the time will log in from the same application in Prime Videos. So that family share in iOS side, the family sharing option would be like that. Only 5 members will be allowed over here. And for one example, how can we'll imagine how can we do that. So if one person in the family was organizer the channel, so it will be update inside the setting and of the family sharing member from the portal or from the inside your application. They will make check of that particular option, and after that they can manage the group settings and features, what they want to actually share and what they don't want to share with the others. and they can add their groups individually. They can add two groups, they can add three groups inside that, but not more than 5 member they can invite. And the 5 member, if they can invite, so they 5 member have their individual Apple ID would be mandatory for login inside that. So after sharing the items and after sharing the iCloud storage, the another team member can purchase and sharing their data, which will be gain the access from the organizer to purchase music, movies, TV shows, most of the apps and games and etc. like that. So basically, the family sharing is a features you can share with the 5 members, 5 peoples, and they another people can join you and can they can buy or share some things between us. And here are the interesting topic, as I tell you, payment gateway versus in-app purchase. So maybe most of the people can understand by seeing that two images we have attached here, Stripe and PayPal. So what exactly the difference between their between the payment gateway and in-app purchase is? So I thought there's a multiple difference, but I'll try to explain you in a short how it's what's the main difference here. So in a purchase, a purchase to make with a mobile application with the without any redirection on any third-party page, basically. So inside the application, we can do the transactions. Inside the application, we can get apply the offers and etc. But when we are using payment gateway, it's a software basically we use to transfer the transactions data from the merchant account to the acquiring bank and etc. This software service as a interface between the payment gateway from the merchant website or any acquiring bank. So in a simple word, you can say payment gateway let you to accept the credit card payment is the person is using from any online payment or etc. Maybe for transferring their money one source to another source. But in-app purchase is referred to buying goods and services from inside an application or your mobile device or tablet device only. So that would be the major difference between both of them. So in a purchase will inside the application you can buy as example. I have give you the PUBG example before also. So you can buy the things inside the application. You can take the example of any game. So it's a Asphalt 8 game. So in Asphalt 8, if you want to buy some new car or if you buy a engine process and something, so inside app you can buy that. And in payment gateway, the simple example is e-commerce basically. So we'll buy any product from e-commerce, Amazon and Flipkart and any another website. So it will be redirect to the and any another third party payment process basically. So we have to input our credentials over there and we have to log in or something. So that would be the payment gateway part. Okay. And another good feature of the in-app purchase, or maybe it's not only for in-app purchase, it's such a good part of any e-commerce platform, which is promo code. So how promo code basically work? Actually, most of the people can directly apply the promo code and get the 10% and 20% off. But maybe they don't know how that particular word or alphanumeric word can apply that can reduce our 10% amount from actual amount basically. So maybe you can see the screenshot of new promo code. So we can define promo code here, alphanumeric or numeric or only alpha here. So we can also define the start and end date also inside that. So from 14 Jan to 13 Jan, we can define the two dates over here. This promo code will be used for only 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and many more. And how much time we can use that promo code? Someone maybe I thought someone has tried, if they have applied that one promo code once, and it will get the 10%, then he tried to apply this promo code again, but unfortunately they don't get any discount on that particular product. So that was the condition. That was the condition based in a backend process basically. So we have apply once the promo code to apply on the one product, so it will be not re-apply on the same product, and the promo code will be working only the given time interval, and the percentage rate we can define that particular promo code will be divided into 10, 20, 30, and more than that percentage will be generated here. You can also check the promo code in any e-commerce website also. Maybe most of the you have aware about that, how can use the promo code, but inside the in-app purchase we can directly apply, and like Paytm, while you are recharge any mobile application, any mobile network, or you can pay any transaction inside that, so there is a option to apply the promo code. So pre-fill promo code was there, you can directly apply, so that would be the kind of the same. Okay, so recommendation to avoid the fraud and abuse. So that was such a interesting topic, and it was involved in 2014. After that, any Apple user get the millions, have lost their millions dollars while doing in-app purchase basically. So what the things is mostly what we do, we redirect our transaction process to any third party library basically. So if we want in e-commerce website, if we want to buy any product, so it will be redirect to the third party library like PayPal and Stripe, RosePay, and something else. So after that, the third party library can manage their payment transactions and all, and it will be just written your payment is successful or not. So in but in in-app purchase, there's a two type of integration. We can integrate our site inside the application only without using any backend support and something, or if we want to use any backend support also, so we can also integrate in that part also. So for aware about that fraud, basically what we do actually, we are just generating the one token using your credit card and debit card details, and we'll transfer that particular detail to the backend source, that token only. So we are not storing any kind of information here. So and we can directly transfer that token to the backend, and backend will manage the all transaction process from the backend side only. And after will they will respond you the successful message, does your payment is successful or not. So that was the main reason to use backend process here, because multiple time if you are using front end side, so many junks and many attackers will try to attack on your payment flow basically. So it is easy to hack your payment if you are using the front end. But in mobile application, we are directly using the server of in-app purchase only. So we can we are don't be aware about that is any junk or any third party will attack on mobile application. But inside and but any another way, we have to transfer the token to the backend basically. So here we start the demo, basically what we have implement, and we are try to explain you end-to-end features. What are the consumer product, what are the non-consumable, how can we buy the product from in-app purchase for Android and iOS side, how can will buy the auto, how can we renewable, how can we auto enable the process. So we'll try to explain you in a short way. So I request you, Munnan, can you please share your screen and start the demo? Yeah.
Yes. So is my screen is visible?
Yes, Manu.
Yeah. So first we will see how we can set up the in-app purchase on Google Play Console. Then we will come to demo part. So basically this is the Google Play Console's dashboard. Yes. So here are the application. Here is the application list. We need to choose our applications first, on which we want to implement the in-app purchase. Then I have already make these applications for release for internal testing. So my application is in active state. So on left hand side we can see the options like in-app products and subscriptions. Google provide these two options. So first we will see the in-app products. To create new in-app product, first we need to choose this create option. Then we need to give some product ID. We must ensure that the product ID will be unique for each and every product. So we will give the product. This will be my product ID. Then we need to give the product name. So first we will see the consumable product. Then we need to give the description. I'm giving just test details here. So we need to give the pricing details here. Here I can give 200 rupees and just save. Then we need to activate that product. So now we can see uh, this consumable product is listed and it is in active state. Similarly, we can create the subscription as well. So for subscription, we need to choose the option for the create subscription. Then similarly, same as the in-app products, we need to give a product ID for subscription and it should be unique. So I will give subscription number 1. Then I will give the detail detail. Then if you we want to add some benefits, then we can add here benefits. So here we can set the billing period. So this will be starting from weekly to yearly. On this billing period, we can set the subscription will be charged. So I can select monthly. Then choose the price for that subscription and then apply price. So here we can choose whether the free trial is applicable or not. If we enables the free trial, then we need to choose a date for how many days we need that free trial. Here the minimum 3 days free trial is must. Then introductory price. The term actually introductory price is basically the initial price of the subscription. So user can user can first buy the subscription with some initial price, and then he can buy the full then he can pay the full amount of the purchase. So basically this period should be 3 sorry. This price should be smaller than the subscription price. So we have set a 200 INR So here we will apply the 50. The grace period is the period. Suppose user set the method of the payment is through the debit card, and his debit card get um, he has get some problem to his debit card, and when the subscription will end, the grace period here we mention that period will be extended by these days. Means after get will get end, the 7 days, in 7 days the subscription will remain, or the user will allow to use that subscription. And after 7 days, if he still not able to pay that for that particular service, then his subscription will be cancelled automatically. So we will be saved. Currently we will set this to none, and will make this product active. So here we can see the subscription one is activated. We can also add the promo codes. So similarly, promo code name, start date should be the future date, and the end date of that particular promo code, and promotion type, whether we need to add this in in-app purchase or in subscription, and we need to choose the product, for which product you need a promo code. So we can set from here, and we need to give how many promo codes we should provide to user. So here we will give a 50 promo codes. So here our promo code also created. So we will also see the license testers, where we need to add that license testers. So on the dashboard where all application list is displaying, here on the left hand side we can see the license testing option. So here we need to add just the email ID, and just save. So this is the only thing we need to create on the Google Play console. Now we will see the actual demo, how it works on the app side. So here I have created a simple demo. So here I have set the subscription for the 6 months, subscription for the 1 year, and here is the consumable product, and here is the non-consumable product. So as I have earlier mentioned, the coins is the best example for the consumable products. So we can buy it as much as we want. So here is the payments get success. So now here we can see there are the test scenarios already provided by the Google. So we can test accordingly. And this product I have been already purchased earlier. So Google will automatically show here you have already owned this item. So this item I will only purchase at one time. Now we will see the subscription. For subscription, here we will see the details, starting date, then price, then how many time it will, for testing purpose only 15 minutes the subscription will be remain for the 6 months, and the for 1 year 30 minutes subscription will be, we can test. So I will subscribe. So here Google will show now you have already subscribed to this item. This is the default UI. Then I will purchase, subscribe 1 year subscription. Again, when I will tap on the subscription for 1 year, then it will show the error message. So this is very simple kind of demo. Now we will see, we will actually get the receipt on our registered email. So we can see the subscription details, from where we have bought the subscription, then the name of that particular item, price of that particular item, and the payment method. This will get, all these details will get on the email. Like in-app, also for in-app purchase, we can get these details. We can check this on Google Play Store as well. Here we will go to the subscription, then we can see here the changes has been reflected. We can cancel this subscription from Google Play Store only. So I have cancelled this subscription, so I can again purchase this subscription. Likewise, we can also see the mail, and also we can see the purchased item. This is the subscription section. Now we will see the, then on the account purchase history, we can check the subscriptions, whatever, in-app purchase as well as a subscription. Basically this is a purchase history, so we can see here all the purchase history. Yes. Now we will check the iOS side as well. So basically on the iTunes, here is my iTunes account. So on the left hand side of the iTunes, we can check the in-app purchase, and the manage option is there. So we will first check the where we can add the particular products. So here is the in-app purchases which I have already created. So for creating new, we just need to add. So here the distinct consumable app comes in the frame. Like Google not provides these type of options to while creating the products, whereas the App Store gives us option whether it is consumable, non-consumable, renewable subscription or non-renewable subscription. So we will create a consumable first, then just choose the create option. And here we need to give a reference name. Then the product ID. The product ID should be unique. Then we need to choose a pricing. Then the display name. Then the description. Yes, and in the review information section, we need to provide the screenshot of the application. Just one screenshot of the application. Ease of size 1024 should be height, and about 600 should be width. So we need to provide that screenshot and then just save this application. Currently, I have not updated any screenshot. So here they have given the missing data. So if we can continue with the updating that screenshot, then this error will be gone, and we can successfully add this type of the products on the Play Console, sorry, iTunes. So same with the renewable and auto subscriptions. These are the same in the iTunes. Yes, this is it. Now we can see the iOS part demo. So same as Android, I have created both same UI. Just difference is the UI application of UI part of the iTunes. So here we will subscribe. Here is the default UI for the iTunes. So our subscription has been all set. So if we purchase this subscription again, then you have currently subscribed this. This message is shown by the Apple. Then we will subscribe one more subscription. This subscription so now we can buy the in-app purchase products. This is because this is consumable, we can buy it multiple times. And this one is the non-consumable. So when we are going to consume it again, it will show the this pop-up, but it will also show the you have already purchased it and you would like to get it again for the free. So Apple show it like uh, you need to get it for the free. So you need not to buy that product again. So this is the Apple side UI. Another thing is in Xcode we need to make some changes. Here is the main project, and under this main project we can see the configuration.storekit file. The configuration of storekit file is nothing but where we can test the local environment test data, and we need not to create the connection to the like App Store server. So here we can add the product. Here we can see the add consumable in-app purchase, add non-consumable in-app purchase, add renewable, auto-renewable subscription. StoreKit does not provide non-renewable subscription, as we need to maintain it with the starting date of a subscription only. So if we add, so here is the non-consumable in-app purchase. We need to um, fill the description description of the in-app purchase subscription group if it is auto-renewable subscription, and the price and the product ID that have been mentioned on the iTunes Connect. So this is the change we need to do in iOS side, and also we need to add signing capabilities here. So in signing and capabilities, we just need to add, here is the plus button. As I have already added it, it's not showing. So we can add it from the here. This will be displayed here after we have adding the signing in-app purchase capability. So Xcode need this much of changes only. So now we can see at the code level what we need to do. So like I have mentioned the SUKs in the presentation. So the SUK should be mentioned like this. For iOS and Android, we should separately declare. This is the product ID which we have already added on the iTunes or on the Play Console. So in some documentation they have just referred we should do package name plus this product ID, but this will not work. So just solution is we just need to give that product ID in this array, and this SUK we need to pass to the get item products. So this is the method. Basically, this is the React Native in-app purchase method. So get item actually it gets the all the details from the iTunes and from the Google Play console, whatever we have pass in the SUKs. So we will get the product details here, and then we just buy it using request purchase or request subscription. Here we need to pass the that particular purchase ID, product ID, and after successful purchase, we need to call this method consume purchase Android. So as Google is not providing whether the item is consumable or non-consumable, so we need to mention it in the code. If the item is consumable, then we need to pass this method. We need to call this method, and we need to pass a purchase token. Then that item will be that product will be automatically get marked as a consumable product. Otherwise, if it is non-consumable, then we need not to call this method. Just we need to call the finish transaction method. Yes, and for iOS, after finishing the transaction, we should call the finish transaction iOS method, where we can pass the transaction ID, which is getting from the results. One more method is there, that is get available purchase. Get available purchase method is used to restore the purchases which have a user already means paid, which user have already paid for that purchase. If suppose one user is there and he have changed his device, so when he is login in his new device with the old Apple ID or old mail on in the Google Store. Then using the get available purchase, we can fetch all the purchase data, purchase history, and we can then that user need not to pay for that service again. So here is also important method we can call to restore that data. Yes. So this is the demo part, I think.